So for the teachings this week, I'd like to start with a quote. This week had many quotes, including some stories from the Upanishads and Lamont, but I would like to start this short video with one of my favorite quotes by Steve Jobs. And I was sharing with the class that, we hear lots of poems and stories and poetry, and sometimes something sticks with you in a way that it actually changes you. And this quote, when I heard it years ago, many years ago, it stuck with me. And it's something that became sort of a personal way of being, as well as a little inspiration from Steve Jobs. And he said, "For the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm going to do today? And whenever the answer has been no, for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something." This week's teachings are from the 8 limbs of Ashtanga, and I'm looking at the first two with you, the Yamas and the Niyamas. The Yamas being our ethical codes, how we are in the world, how we're showing up in the world, and the Niyamas, of course, are how we treat ourselves, all about our self-care. And for years, I used to think that they were reversed, like we should do the Niyamas first, take care of ourselves, and then that will imprint and touch how we then are in the world. But today's teachings are really about the wisdom of using the Yamas as a way of self-reflection, as a way of the Svadhyaya Niyamas to say, as Steve Jobs did, sometimes if we can pay attention to how we're showing up in the world and be able to reflect on that, am I grumpy too many days in a row? Am I irritated with others? Do I see the faults in everyone else? Am I angry, on a regular basis? Then instead of letting the world dictate and the outside world constantly pulling us, it's this time for niyamas where we come to a place called yoga, or we come to a place called meditation, a practice where we can silence ourselves and listen and really pay attention to how we're living externally as a way of what's going on in here. And the first time I read this quote by Steve Jobs, I remember thinking, yeah, that's a really good indicator. Like if I'm grumpy too many days in a row, if I, am not happy with the friendships or the job or aspects of the job, it's a way to go within and reflect. So join me for the teachings this week. Really some beautiful ideas and from different teachers like Lamont and the Upanishads, the eating bird and the looking bird, to kind of have a lens with which to see ourselves sometimes is helpful to look at how we are operating out there in our lives. So join me for another inspirational teaching that I hope touches the way you live and show up today in your external life, as well as how you're spending time and really looking at taking care of yourself.